Morocco is the only African country that is not currently a member of the African Union. I repeat, Morocco is the only African country that is not currently a member of the African Union. However, it is a member of the Arab League at present, Arab Maghreb Union, the Francophone, Organization of the Islamic Conference, Mediterranean Dialogue Group, and Group of 77, and is a major non-NATO ally of the United States. It shows you that they have no brotherhood with the Africans of the motherland. If Islam only comes into Africa at the beginning of the 7th century AD, how can this be our original religion? If Islam only comes into North Africa at the beginning of the 7th century AD, how can this be our original religion? It is nothing but a damn lie. There is no Islam before Muhammad ibn Abdullah of Arabia during the 6th century AD. And if you look on the map, it shows you that the land that we know of as Morocco today, not in the ancient time, because there was no Morocco until Islam comes into Africa, but Islam does not reach those lands until the 8th through 12th century AD. Before that, it had been ruled by the Nile Valley Africans. It had been ruled by the Carthaginians, Hannibal and his father. But at no time in the ancient world were there any Moors in that land ruling anything. Again, there are no Moors until the coming of Islam. Let's go to the Quran questions for Moorish Americans. If you look at the top to the right, you can see the two hands that are clutching. This is nothing more than a Masonic handshake. So not only have they intertwined the low-lifted Arab religion, they have also intertwined the white cracker Masonic lodge into this nonsense. It is nothing more than nonsense. Now let's go to question 87. I'm going to go straight to it. I'm going to go straight to the heart of it. What is it meant by the word black? Black, according to science, means death. This is exactly what is taught in this questions for Moorish Americans. It is taught that black means death. Let me go on. Question 89. What does Ethiopia mean? Ethiopia means something divided. 93. Will you define the word white? White means purity. Purity means God. And God means the ruler of the land. If this ain't white supremacy, cracker, Arab-ass religion, I don't know what the hell it is. How the hell you gonna say that black means death? And then you come right behind that and says white means purity, purity means God, and God means the ruler of the land. Shit, a racist low-down cracker from down south couldn't have taught that shit no better. What the hell is they gonna come and bring this to us? This nigga Noble Drew Ali wasn't nothing but an Arab flunky. And I said it. You know, here you gonna come in here and disrespect black and say according to science means death. And then when you break down science itself, chemistry, black, the black art, alchemy, alchemy, the black sciences. How the hell you gonna say that according to science, black means death, when science itself means the black art? So you can see that this brother ain't got no real science. What does Ethiopia mean? Ethiopia means something divided. It do not. Ethiopia means burnt face. Ethiopia. Opt, like optical. It means face. Burnt face. It has nothing to do with something that is divided. So you can, as soon as you go into this book, you can see that it is something that has been designed by that white Arab, given to Noble Drew Ali, and then he come over here and give it to you and tell you it's your original religion. This nigga leading you back into the arms of the Arab. Let's go to number 60. Who was guarding the holy city of Mecca today to keep the unbelievers away? Angels. What is the modern name for those angels? Asiatics. What is the color of their skin? Olive. So I mean, he has no respect for the color black, but he can tell you about white, and he can tell you that the angels, who are Asiatics, their skin is olive. If this ain't a white man's religion, white Arab religion, I don't know what the hell it is. Let's go to number 52. At what place on earth was the physical part of man formed? In the Garden of Eden. Where is that Garden of Eden? In the land of Canaan, in the city of Mecca. What is the modern name for the Garden of Eden? Mecca. Now, as you see how the Moors try to intertwine Kemet and the Nile Valley into the Moor science. If they truly understood the Nile Valley, they know damn well ain't nowhere on the ancient papyruses and the walls of the Nile Valley where they wrote that the Garden of Eden was in no damn Mecca or in no damn land of Canaan. They spoke that they came from the beginnings of the Nile around the Great Lakes region of Central East Africa, which they call Ta-Netaru, or the Kui land, the land of the gods, where they began. Ain't nowhere in the ancient scriptures of the Nile Valley where they taught that they came up out of some damn Canaan and that their Garden of Eden was no damn Mecca, because there was no Mecca. There was no Mecca. There was no Islam before Muhammad ibn Abdullah. These niggas have hijacked our ancient history, intertwined it with the religions of our oppressors, of our low-down Arab slave masters. And then you want to come in here and give this nigga all this credit. Why would he teach that black means death? Because the Arab, in his writings, in his paintings, always painted the devil as black, as you see right here. He always painted the devil as black. And whether, I don't know if it's a documented fact that Noble Drew Ali went to Egypt, but if he did went to Egypt, at that time and during the time in which he lived, it was ruled by the Ottoman Turks. And those low-life did no good Arab-ass Turks were some of the most vicious and most brutal genocidal maniacs on our people that has ever been recorded. Muhammad Ali, they say he caused so much genocide and so much mass murder in North Africa that the blood was up to his knees. They had to beg him not to kill all the Africans on the damn continent. This is how brutal the Turks were into our people. But before I even leave this, let me go to this again. This is writings about the Noble Drew Ali. In 1913, Noble Drew Ali warned, the cardinal customs of man do not alter the nature of truth. Legally and divinely, the definition of the word black has never been changed. According to science, he added, black means death. This nigga has been brainwashed. I don't give a damn what nobody say. He's preaching a white Arab religion. He got his knowledge from a white Turkish Arab when he went to Egypt, and he then brought it back to you to suck you off into mental, spiritual, and physical oppression. The reason why you continue to hear me bring up the references of the Turks is because in chapter 45 of the divine origin of the Asiatic nations, number 7, Noble Drew Ali teaches us the Turks are the true descendants of Hagar, who are the chief protectors of the Islamic creed of Mecca, beginning from Muhammad I, the founding of the uniting of Islam by the command of the great universal God Allah. So Noble Drew Ali admits that it started with Muhammad I. And he also gives reference to the Turks as the true descendants of Hagar, who are the chief protectors of the Islamic creed of Mecca. Our genocidal, oppressive, maniac, Turk Arab oppressor, this man says, is the chief protector of the Islamic creed of Mecca. If this ain't nothing but some white supremacist, Arab, oriented, oppressive of a religion, I don't know what the hell it is. Go straight to the Moor science False Teachings Part 2 for an even hotter video than the first. Don't you miss it. Hotel. If black means death, does that apply to the sacred black stone of the Kaaba? If black means death, does that also apply to the black stone of the Kaaba? Now he knows damn well if Noble Drew Ali would go into Mecca and say that the El-Rukin, the black stone of the Kaaba, means death, then he would lose his head. He knows that. But see, they playing both sides of the fence. They'll tell you black means death, but when you go to Mecca, the most sacred relic in all of Islam, the El-Rukin, is a black stone. Let's go into the Turks, into Egypt. I have to get on these Turks because he says that they are the chief protectors of Islam. You see him here with Howard Carter. You know Howard Carter, he's the low-lifed cracker that broke into the tomb of Tutankhamun and raped the tomb of all of its treasure. Who allowed him in? The Turks. The low-lifed Turks. And you see them right here together plotting on going down in the sacred tomb. You see them right here with the fezzes on outside of the tomb after they done went down there raping and robbing. So you got to be clear about this. What I'm putting before you is the actual facts to show you what these low-down Turk, Arab, European cracker have plotted to go into our sacred lands to rape and rob the treasures, and you got to see it for what it is. You got to see it for what it is, African people. You got to call it for what it is. You can't straddle the fence. You got to recognize who your enemy is. You got to do that. And if you see any nigga talking about he's a Moor and he's wearing a fez, you got to put him on the spot. Nigga, what you got the hat of our oppressor on your head for? You got to ask them that. And there is no doubt that they are the hats of our oppressor. You see Howard Carter here again with a low-life Arab Turk plotting on going down in the tomb, knowing it's not his ancestor. This is why they sold it away. If you look at a lot of the artifacts in a lot of these museums all over the world, under the Turks is how them Arabs came in, the Arab and the European, how they came into Africa and got away with so much of our artifacts. They did it up under the Turks. They did it up under the Turks. The same low-lifed Arab Turk that Noble Drew Ali says is the chief protectors of Islam. To allow these no good, low-lifed beasts to come in and desecrate our ancestors' tombs. And you walking around with the fez on like that means something to me. Nigga, that's the hat of my oppressor. That's the hat of the one that then degraded my people and committed genocide on my people. Saladin the Wretched. Saladin the Wretched. One of the most vile Turks that ever walked on the planet. Let's read Village Life in Egypt with sketches of the Said by Bel St. John. The destruction was the work of Karakush, a Greek eunuch, one of the emirs of that prince's army, and a man of considerable genius. He was a superintendent of the buildings of the capital, and it was he who raised the wall which encircles Fustat, Cairo, and the land that separates those two cities, as well as the citadel built on Mount Murakum, and the wells that are still seen there. He used the stones that came from the small pyramids in the construction of the arches of Giza. He used the stones that came from the small pyramids in constructing the arches of Giza, a work worthy of the highest admiration and comparable with those of the giants. The remains of the pyramids destroyed by Karush are still to be seen. Now here it is. They attacking the pyramids to build the mosque of Cairo. they destroyed, they pulled the limestone off the sides of the pyramids, and they even destroyed the smaller pyramids, which were the pyramids of the queens. Gentleman's Magazine, January 1842. The danger to which Egyptian relics of the first order are exposed, the destruction which they have already encountered, does indeed appeal to the Aquarians of Europe, to the scientific of all nations, to check and arrest by every means in their power the dilapidations and destruction so barbarous and so mischievous in their results. The reputation of Muhammad Ali, the Turk, as a renovator of Egypt must receive considerable tarnish in the present day and indelible stain in all future time for the reckless havoc which he has permitted to be made of her venerable monuments. That's Muhammad Ali. The man, if you look at the obelisk in Paris, it was Muhammad Ali that tore that, because it was originally in front of the Grand Lodge of Luxor. He tore it down and gave it to the French. He tore it down. That lets you know it wasn't a part of their culture. But again, this is the Turk. This is the man that Noble Jew Ali says is the chief protector of Islam. He sure ain't the chief protector of Africa and African people and African culture. You got to make that clear. Village Life in Egypt, with sketches of the Said by Bell St. John. Nothing gives a grander idea of the architectural achievements of the ancient Egyptians than the labor for thousands of years has been from time to time expended in pulling down what they built up. Formerly as an air rider of authority, there existed at Giza a considerable number of small pyramids which were destroyed in the time of Saladin. Actual fact. So you got to know this. You got to call them on it. They are nothing but the enemy. The fez, anytime you see the fez, it is the hat, the cap of our enemy, low down Turk Arab. Call them niggas on it. Some of these Moors even say that the Pharaoh is wearing a fez. I'm going to let you look at this for yourself. You going to let them niggas usurp your knowledge and your history and give it over to a Turk Arab fez wearing ass nigga to usurp your knowledge like that? I'll let you look at it for yourself. According to the ancient Egyptians, and specifically the Book of the Dead, the original wearer of the crowns of Egypt was Osiris, who was not a Moor nor a Muslim. Glory be to thee, O Osiris Unefer, thou great God in Aptu, Abydos, King of eternity, Lord of everlastingness, God whose existence is millions of years, eldest son of Nut, not Allah, begotten by Geb, not Allah, the chief ancestor, Lord of the crowns of the south and north, Lord of the high white crown. And the white crown is the crown of Upper Egypt, showing that the crown of Upper Egypt was the supreme crown, and it was the crown that came from the origin of Nubia and the regions where the Great Lakes region of Central East Africa began. So that eliminates this land of Canaan origin for our Nile Valley Africans. I want to bring you to this very terrible incident that happened in 2006, where some Darfur refugees fled into Egypt, and the Egyptians, allowed them to stay there for maybe 2 or 3 months, and then they moved in on our brothers and sisters. These are the Turks of today, moved in on our brothers and sisters and attacked them and destroyed the mini camp where they had set up. The Egyptians said they was going to give them a refuge, but in the end they came in and destroyed the camp and carried the native Nubian Africans, who are the original peoples of that land, and drug them out like they was nothing but animals. put water hoses all on them. Some are even down on their knees praying to Allah. You think that low-life cracker give a damn? He just attacked them like he was nothing but savages. The women are carried out. Then collapse. And the man is trying to explain that he can't go back because they're going to kill him. Do you think they give a damn? This is the Turk Arab of today. Peace. All right, let's deal with the fact that the Circle 7 Quran is a plagiarized version of the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ by Levi. Let's deal with that fact. This book, the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ, was copyrighted in 1907. You understand what I'm saying? The Moor Science Temple wasn't established until 1913. So this book was written 6 years before the Moor Science Temple was even established. Let's deal with the fact that the Circle 7 Quran, the first 19 chapters are taken from this book, the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ. Chapters 20 through 44 were taken from the text known as Unto Thee I Grant, which was written in 1754. Now let's go into chapter 11. The title of that chapter, Jesus and Barata together, they read the sacred books. You go into chapter 32 of the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ. Jesus and Barata together, they read the sacred books. Jesus takes exception to the Buddhist doctrine of evolution and reveals the true origin of man. Plagiarism. Nothing but plagiarism. Now let's go to chapter 18. The resurrection of Jesus. Pilate places the Roman seal upon the stone door of the tomb. At midnight, a company of the silent brothers march about the tomb. The soldiers are alarmed. Jesus preaches to the spirits in prison. Early Sunday morning, he rises from the tomb. The soldiers are bribed by the priest to say that the disciples had stolen the body. This is from the Circle 7 Quran. Now let's go into the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ, chapter 172. Pilate places the Roman seal upon the stone door of the tomb. At midnight, a company of the silent brothers march about the tomb. The soldiers are alarmed. Jesus preaches to the spirits in prison. Early morning, he arises from the tomb. The soldiers are bribed by the priest to say that the disciples had stolen the body. Guilty. Guilty of plagiarism. You busted. Anybody out there that is listening to this video, if you get a Circle 7 Quran and get an Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ, you can do this research. You can do this research. Let's go to chapter 4. Death and burial of Elizabeth. Manetho's lesson. The ministry of death. Let's go into the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ. Now I cut this, the top of this chapter is cut off. But if you get the book, you can go in and verify exactly what chapter it is. Death and burial of Elizabeth. Manetho's lessons. The ministry of death. The mission of John. Institution of the rite of baptism. Manetho takes John to Egypt and places him in the temple at Saqqara, where he remains 18 years. You see, he cut that off. See, he cuts that off. He don't teach how all of this describes John the Baptist, Jesus, Abraham, according to the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ. All of them got their knowledge in Egypt. You understand what I'm saying? He's plagiarizing. He's cutting off portions of the title, giving you bits and pieces, but he is plagiarizing. Ain't no damn doubt about that. I gave you the references, and anybody out there can go behind me and do that research. Now, let's go into chapter 17. Jesus appears fully materialized before Apollo and the Silent Brotherhood in Greece, appears to Claudia and Juliet on the Tiber near Rome, appears to the priests in the Egyptian temples at Heliopolis. Go into chapter 178 of the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ. Jesus appears fully materialized before Apollo and the Silent Brotherhood in Greece, appears to Claudius and Juliet on the Tiber near Rome, appears to the priests in the Egyptian temple at Heliopolis. Guilty. Plagiarism. Do the research. See what lie they come up with then. They talking about all that a noble Jew Ali brought. He plagiarized. Anytime you take from another script, another writing, and you do not give a reference to the author of the original writing, that is plagiarism. Guilty. Now let's go to chapter 16. Pilate's final effort to release Jesus fails. He washes his hands in feigned innocence, delivers Jesus to the Jews for execution. The Jewish soldiers drive him to Calvary. Now let's go into the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ. Chapter 168, Pilate's final effort to release Jesus fails. He washes his hands in feigned innocence, delivers Jesus to the Jews for execution. The Jewish soldiers drive him to Calvary. Guilty of plagiarism. You're guilty. Now let's go into chapter 55. Things that he left out. Jesus passes the 7th brotherhood test, and in the purple room of the temple receives the 7th, the highest degree, the Christ. He leaves the temple a conqueror. This is in Egypt. This is in Egypt. This is where he receives his 7th, the highest degree of Christ. He receives it in Egypt. Why is this not taught? Let's go into chapter 54 that gives the clear reference of what I'm talking about. Jesus becomes a private pupil of the Hierophant and is taught the mysteries of Egypt. In passing the 7th test, he works in the chamber of the dead. In Egypt. Not Canaan, not Mecca, not Morocco, not America. Egypt is where he receives his degree of Christ. Why the hell that ain't brought out? Plagiarism. He cut what he wanted to put in the book to make up the mystery or the fantasy that he wanted to project, and he clearly cut out other information that would have given the people a clear understanding of what this was all about. Upon your brow I place this diadem in the great lodge of the heavens and earth. You are the Christ. In Egypt, not in Mecca, not in Canaan, not in Morocco, not in America. This takes place in Egypt. Oh, let's deal with this also in the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus Christ. You ask why Abram came into Egypt land. This is the cradle land of the initiate. All secret things belong to Egypt land. This is why the masters come. Do you understand what these people is telling us? This is why the masters come to Egypt. Not Canaan, not Mecca, not Morocco. Why he left this out? When he was doing all his plagiarizing, why did he leave this information out? Let's deal with chapter 48. Jesus receives from the Hierophant his mystic name and number, passes the first brotherhood test, and receives his first degree, sincerity. Let me start at the verse number 2. The circle is the symbol of the perfect man, and 7 is the number of the perfect man. The Logos is the perfect word, that which creates, that which destroys, that which saves. The Hebrew master is the logos of the Holy One, the circle of the human race, the seven of time. And in the record book, the scribe wrote down the logos circle 7, and thus Jesus was known. This is where they get the circle 7. This is where they get the circle 7. Up out of the Aquarian gospel of Jesus Christ. He was a Mason of the Masonic order. He was dealing with the mystical, metaphysical, mystical, magical. And you don't want to tell the truth. Go to Moor Science, False Teachings, Part 4, as I drop even heavier knowledge on this brother y'all call Noble Drew Ali. Let's deal with the master teachers on this issue. Let's deal with the master teachers. Let's bring in the Grand Master Teacher, George G.M. James. Let's bring in the author of The Stolen Legacy. What does he say about the Moors? He says, during the Persian, Greek, and Roman invasion, large numbers of Egyptians fled not only to the desert and mountain regions, but also to adjacent lands in Africa, Arabia, and Asia Minor, where they lived, and secretly developed the teachings which belonged to their mystery system. In the 8th century AD, as I said earlier in the videos, there was no Moors of consequence doing anything in Africa until the coming of Islam. In the 8th century AD, the Moors, natives of Mauritania in North Africa, invaded Spain and took with them the Egyptian culture which they had preserved. Knowledge in the ancient days was centralized. It belonged to a common parent and system, i.e. the wisdom teachings of the mysteries of Egypt. It's the parent. You can't equate the Moors with Egypt. Egypt is the parent. It preceded the Moors. So you can't say that the Egyptians were Moors. They were not Moors, because no one was using that word in reference to African Ethiopian people before the 8th century AD. You find me the writings. You find me the writings where they speak of it. Let's go to the Grand Master, Dr. Yusuf bin Yaqanan, who not only got a PhD in Moorish history from Barcelona, Spain, but also taught at Al-Azhar University in Cairo, the citadel of Islamic learning on the planet, but a cornerstone Mo with nothing but a card in his back pocket gonna try to challenge master teachers that done been all over the world, done research on original texts, not no little ass pamphlet, but the original text. Let's deal with the Grand Master Teacher Yusuf bin Yaqanan got to say. He says the Ghana Empire was established between 50 BCE, 100 CE. The exact time is debated daily. But what I want to get up out of this, it says Ghana was destroyed by Africans called Almoravids around 176 of the Common Era. The Almoravids were Moors. Understand that when they got pushed up out of Spain, they came down into Africa and began to attack the indigenous African cultures that were established there. It is the Moors that destroyed Ghana in 176 of the Common Era. Let's go down to number 3, Songhai. The invasion from Mauritania started, wait a minute, let me go up some. The empire was destroyed and calculated 1592 of the Common Era by Africans called Moors from the north. The invasion from Mauritania started in 1582 of the Common Era at the end of Emperor Askia Ashaka II's reign. It lasted for 10 long bitter years of warfare. So there it is from the Grand Master Yosef ben Yakanan. The Moors sacked Ghana and Songhai. This show you that they were nothing but the middle-aged Janjaweed. They were attacking indigenous African civilizations. And these niggas gonna sit up here talking about Morocco is your nationality. Why? Because you destroying all the other damn nations? There were other nations in Africa besides Morocco. So why you keep saying that Moroccan is our nationality? You got nations like Ghana. They're not Moors, they're Ghanaians. You had the Empire of Songhai, Mali, Benin. You got all of these nations on the west coast of Africa. They're not Moors. Let's deal with the Grand Master Teacher, Dr. John Henry Clark. Christopher Columbus and the African Holocaust. After the death of Askia the Great in 1528, the Songhai Empire began to lose its strength and its control over its vast territory. When the Songhai Empire collapsed after the capture of Timbuktu and Gayo by the Moroccans in 1591, the whole of the Western Sudan was devastated by the invading troops. Devastated by the invading troops. Who did it? The Moroccans. What year? 1591. Let's move on. European firearms across the Sahara to attack the once powerful empire of Songhai. The army did not reach Timbuktu until 1591. The prosperous city of Timbuktu was plundered by the army of freebooters. A state of anarchy prevailed. The University of Sankara, which has stood for over 500 years, was destroyed and the facility exiled to Morocco. Who destroyed Timbuktu? Who destroyed the University of Sankara? The Moors. What year? 1591. Let's move on. In one of a number of holy wars or jihads, Ghana was invaded by the Almoravids under the leadership of Abu Bakr of the Soso Empire in 1076 AD. The conquest brought an end to Ghana's age of prosperity and cultural development. The character of the country was slow to change. Who destroyed Ghana? The Moors. In what year? 1076 AD. Let's move on. Then when the Arabs and Moors were expelled from Spain, they returned to Africa after being the masters of the Mediterranean for 750 years. They had no sentimental attachment to Africa. They began to prey on nations south of the Sahara, principally the old empire of Songhai. From the Grand Master, Dr. John Henry Clark. So now we done heard from George G.M. James, Dr. Yosef ben Yakanan, Dr. John Henry Clark. Now let's move into Ivan Van Sertima, the golden age of the Moor. And in there, we gonna deal with literature from John G. Jackson. The Moors were people who lived in Morocco. That's the reason they called it that. The word Moor means black. It means black. And these niggas talk that black means death. But yet and still the word Moor itself means black. It meant black people. In ancient times, all Africans were called Ethiopians or Cushites. In ancient times, all Africans were called Ethiopians or Cushites. And in the Middle Ages, the Africans were called Moors. In the Middle Ages, the Africans were called Moors. And the word Moor literally means black. So the Moorish people were the black people. In medieval times, the name Moor was not restricted to the inhabitants of Morocco, but it was customary to refer to all Africans as Moors. Now this is from John G. Jackson. He clearly lets you know that the word Moor means black, and it was used during the Middle Ages. It wasn't nothing but another word that the cracker used that meant nigger. That's all it was. It is a middle-aged word for nigger. It means black. Let's go on. This is from Ronoko Rashidi. The Moors, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, are people who are commonly supposed to be black or very dark, and it is synonymous with the word Negro in many contexts. Rashidi and Brunson provides numerous examples of the synonymy of Moors with black during the European Renaissance and early. The word runs like a ripple across a vast pool of languages. The Oxford English Dictionary. Rashidi and Brunson. Ronoko Rashidi says the word is synonymous with black during the European Renaissance, the Middle Ages, and the word runs like a ripple across a vast pool of languages. So now we done heard from George G.M. James, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, Ivan Van Sertima, and Ronoko Rashidi. All of them grandmaster teachers, and a cornerstone Mo with nothing but a damn card in his back pocket, can't say shit but assalamu alaikum or whatever he can say, will try to go up against these grandmaster teachers. How can you know more than these brothers know, and they done been all the way to goddamn Europe, then read the original text, and your arrogant, ignorant ass will sit up here and debate grandmaster teachers. Go to Moor Science False Teachings, Part 5. Okay, family, let's deal with the Moors' involvement in our slavery, in our Holocaust. Why is it that these Moors in the Moor Science Temple want to say that slavery didn't happen? Nigga talking about 300,000 slaves came to America. Why is it that these niggas will steal the memory of our ancestors and their Holocaust? You got to ask yourself that very, very serious question. That they could take 200 million and dwindle it down to 300,000 when the documentation and the memory of that Holocaust is on both sides of the ocean in North, Central America, South America, the islands, and the continent of Africa, and Europe. All that documentation on the Holocaust of African people, all the slave forts in Africa, and these niggas will come out against our ancestors and say that it did not happen. You gonna let them steal your ancestors' memories like that? Man, you got to call them niggas out. Why would they take a stance like that? Because they was floating them damn boats for them crackers. They was contracting them Moors out to float them damn boats. Let's deal with the references. Africa, Mother of Western Civilization by Dr. Yosef Ben Yakanan, who I must say again has a PhD in Moorish history from Barcelona, Spain, also was a professor at Al-Azhar University in Cairo, the citadel of all Islamic learning. Let's deal with the middle of this paragraph. The African Moors, the first to enter Spain in 711 of the Common Era, were in fact the last to leave in 1485 of the Common Era, which was only 7 short years before an African Moor named Pedro Alonso Nino became captain of the flagship Santa Maria, which was the lead ship of the expedition that Cristobal Colon commanded as admiral. The African Moor named Pedro Alonso Nino, the Moor, who became captain of the flagship Santa Maria, when that cracker, low-down, wicked beast, Cristobal Colon, was on his genocidal rampage, you had Moors that were captain of the ship. Why do you think these niggas brag about the fact they were signing treaties with these crackers at the same time our people was in slavery? Ask yourself that question. That's a very serious question, that why would they brag about signing treaties with our oppressor, with our murderers? You understand? With the cracker that's raping our women, our mothers and our foremothers and our sisters and our babies. The same cracker that's raping our women, our babies, and the men, they signing treaties with them. Let's go even further. Let's deal with these two crackers, Mussolini and Leopold of Belgium. Each one of them came in Africa. Mussolini went to Ethiopia, dropped gas all on the Ethiopians, killed over 500,000 of our brothers and sisters in Ethiopia. Leopold depopulated the Congo by 30 million. That's a documented fact. Even the crackers will document that. So why is these niggas talking about 300,000? Any which way it go. And when you deal with the Arabs, how many they murdered, how many the cracker murdered, the number is 200 million. No less than that. When these crackers came in and the Uncle Tom niggas that were on their side, you know how you can distinguish them Uncle Tom niggas? They wore the fez. You see they cracker captain and you see the niggas right beside them wearing that damn fez. If you got the documentary, The Congo, look on the front of that documentary, The Congo, about Leopold of Belgium, and you'll see the two niggas with the fezes on there with our brothers in the middle while the cracker was shooting them down. You understand what I'm saying? Look at this low-life nigga with a fez on, with the crackers, like he got the British kilt on. These is when you can recognize the British, the French, the English, all of them African Uncle Toms, they wore the fez. Here they is. Here they is. These is the army for the crackers, wearing the fez. When Mussolini came into Africa, the Somalians and the Eritreans, if you get the documentary War in Zion, get that documentary, it's live footage. You will see that the Somalians and the Eritreans who worked with Mussolini right here wore the fez. Look at this. The British colonial empire, our allies, the colonies, our allies, the nigga with the fez on. Every time we were attacked by the cracker, the niggas that worked with the crackers wore fezes. Here they is. Here they is. Here's the crackers, the niggas that work with the crackers, wearing the fez. We didn't tell these niggas to go put them hats on. You could have did this research. You could have distinguished yourself between our enemies, but you did not. You went and put they damn hats on your goddamn head, and then you put it on us. Say we wrong. No, nigga, you wrong. We got the documented fact. Every time an old Uncle Tom nigga worked with them Peckerwoods, he wore the fez. Now let's deal with this, that we was over here in America. That there was a civilization that existed in America the same height as Egypt, same type of technology as Egypt. Let's deal with this knowledge that been dropped on us. Scientists, oldest American skull found. How old is it? 13,000 years ago. 13,000 years ago. That's as far back as they have been able to go over here. They have not been able to go earlier than 13,000 years ago. BCE, before the Common Era. Let's look at the oldest New World writing found. Ancient civilizations in Mexico developed a writing system as early as 900 BC. New evidence suggests 900 BC. Let's go into Africa. Let's look at the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Papyrus of Ani, and when it was written. In this introduction, the term is intended to include the general body of texts which have reference to the burial of the dead and to the new life in the world beyond the grave, and which are known to have existed in revised editions and to have been in use among the Egyptians from about BC 4500 to the early centuries of the Christian era. 4,500. That's over 3 millennium that Africans was producing literature before they was producing it in the Americas. Let's deal with this in the New York Times. 43,000-year-old mine, iron ore mine, found in Swaziland, South Africa. 43,000 years ago, we was smelting iron. Do you know how goddamn hot you have to get a damn furnace to smelt iron? And you niggas is talking about what was over here in the Americas. When you drop down in Egypt, the first thing you see is the pyramids climbing in the sky. You ain't got to have nobody talk you into that, because the evidence is overwhelming. You have stolen our history. You have stolen our ancestors' Holocaust. You have hidden the fact that you floated them boats with them crackers. You hid the fact that you destroyed Ghana, that you destroyed Songhay, and you was the mid-ages Janjaweed committing genocide on our people. You just devastated West Africa to the point where our people could not fight that cracker when he came in. You are responsible, Moor. You, when they say that Africans sold Africans, they should have been very clear that those Africans were Moors. And that is documented fact. I give praise to John G. Jackson, one of our grandmaster scholars, whom I got knowledge from to help do this video. George G.M. James, who wrote The Stolen Legacy, who was murdered for his knowledge. I want to give praise and respects to Dr. John Henry Clark, who I got knowledge from, who helped me do these videos. Dr. Yosef Ben Yakanan, who I give high praise to that helped me do these videos. Dr. Renoko Rashidi, who helped me who I got knowledge from to do these videos. And the Grandmaster teacher, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. Now, if you know Cornerstone Moles think you can go up against all them Grandmaster teachers and they wrong and you right, that shows the ignorance of your arrogance. Arm yourself with knowledge. Bang on that beast daily. Liberation through education. Peace. Here's live footage from the Ethiopian-Italian War, where Mussolini come down into Ethiopia to commit genocide on our people, killing over 500,000 of our people, and the low-life the nigger trader that worked right along with Mussolini. You can easily identify him with the feds. You see him right there with the tassels. You see him right there with the crackers armament, while our brothers and sisters only had spears and not highly mechanized artillery. And these niggas know that is shooting highly mechanized armaments at their own brothers and sisters, a part of the genocidal mass murder of our people in Ethiopia. When Mussolini was dropping gas down upon our people, chemical and biological warfare, dropping it down on top of our people, these niggas was side by side with the Peckerwood Italians committing that genocide. So I'm not going to chitter-chatter. I'm going to give you this is actual footage. This is not a movie. This is actual footage of these traitorous niggas with the fez on their head working right side by side with Mussolini. Now, if you African Senate and you say you about your people, you got to ask serious questions. Why would they have done this? Who is responsible for this genocide in Ethiopia? You can't be straddling the fence. These is our enemies. We can easily identify. There's the Peckerwood commander who they following right up the damn hill. This is actual footage. This is actual fact. So I don't want to hear no more chitter chatter with a little cornerstone Mo who all he want to do is spew rhetoric. You understand? I'm gonna nip it in the bud. You know, after all of this is said and done, you do the research. I'm not gonna go on with this because they're not that special. They're not that big for me to have to do these many videos on it. But just in case my brothers and sisters needed a couple of more points that I could make to show them that these individuals were part of the traitorous cracker regime, Arab regime that was committing genocide on our people, here it is. Here's footage from the documentary, The Congo. You understand what I'm saying? Where King Leopold of Belgium committed a genocide where he mass murdered 30 million of our peoples in the Congo. His 16,000 man army was these niggas right here with these fezzes on their head. They had highly mechanized artillery when they knew that their brothers and sisters only had basic spears and bow and arrows. So they knew exactly what they was doing when they committed that genocide. Ask yourself, what is in the heart of a low-life, treacherous nigga to be able to shoot down women, babies, and defenseless men knowing that they can't protect themselves? So I put this documentary out there, and here you see our brothers who is discussing it, how they slaughtered our people, how they mass murdered our people, and that they had no defense for the army, the highly mechanized artillery that they had. They knew that these Africans had no system of defense. So they knew exactly what they was doing. And since they had no mercy on them 30 million of our African brothers and sisters in the Congo, then you should have no mercy on them. So don't ride the fence. Continue to do your research. But this is actual documentation of these brothers in the Congo wearing the fez committing genocide. Now you're looking at a fez wearing traitor whipping our brothers and sisters. Got his brother standing right there to observe, to put fear in him, gather our brothers and sisters up so they could be instilled with fear as they watch these old treacherous traitor, red fez wearing niggas beat our brothers and sisters in the Congo. They were the ones chopping off the arms. They was the ones that were mutilating our ancestors. They were the ones, they would burn this tree sap and let it pour down on the bodies of our brothers and sisters to commit this genocide on our people in the Congo. Now what you about to witness is how these red fez wearing traitorous niggas lining our brothers and sisters up for the peckerwood so that he can murder 3 of them at a time. They did not want to waste bullets on one which they could kill 3 with at one time. Now here the niggas is, red fez wearing, African, want to be Moors, and they always talking about slavery, that slavery did not happen. That we're not just talking about the slaves that were brought to the Americas. We also talking enslavement of our brothers and sisters on the continent. Quit trying to separate the numbers. We all one people. So the numbers should not be separated. You understand what I'm saying? We know for a fact from the time of the entrance of the Arab slave trade, the European slave trade, the murder of our brothers and sisters on the continent, the murder of our brothers and sisters in Arabia that was carried up out of Africa, taken to also India and China, that the Africans that were murdered on the seas, on the ocean, that never made it to the Americas. We know for a fact that those numbers go into at least 200 million. So why would they sit up here and say that they were not a part of that savagery when we got it right here on the document of the Congo where they counted, hoarded, and kidnapped and imprisoned our brothers and sisters in the Congo? This is documented evidence. Call them out. Sara is giving allegiance to his African goddess. His crown is nothing but a symbolism of the natural crown that sits upon our black Madonna's head. He's showing his allegiance to that black queen, that black goddess. And we should be aware of our enemies that are coming in to try to usurp our blackness. Well, a nigga can't even say that he's black because he has done so much underhandedness working with our enemies that he can't even call himself black. And when we look at the goddess queen, T, and look at that, the revolutionary queen, Angela Davis, we see that that natural gene, that African gene has come up in her again. That the same types of African hairstyles, that is our original crown. The woolly, that natural thick woolly hair that sits upon our head, that's our crown. That's our crown. So you see here a pic that comes up out of the first dynasty. And a lot of people try to use the crackers dates to date the first dynasty. It is not 3200 BC. It is 4100 BC. As the Grand Master High Priest of the Osirian Mystery System, Dr. Yosef ben Yakanan teaches us, 4100 BC. And even then, the Per Imheru, the Book of the Dead, was already in existence before the first suten, which is Aha, which the cracker calls Nama, sat on the throne of ancient Tameri or what we call Kemet. Now, what we're looking at here, since Minister Moor wants to come out against me and speak and say that the crown of Lord Kemet, Lord Tameri is affairs, I want you to look at it. Because the only thing that's similar to me is that it's red. If you look to the right, you will see that this crown, which is only worn by a sultan, it is never worn by anybody but a sultan. If you look, you see that the crown comes all the way past the nape of his neck. It's almost on his shoulders. And you see that it hooks up under his ear and up over his ear. You understand what I'm saying? And when you look at it from the front on the left, if you look and get an image of Queen Nefertiti, you will see that this crown is basically of the same type of style of Queen Nefertiti. You understand what I'm saying? Now, when you look here, this is Nama or Aha. And you see the crown again. You see that it has an apparatus at the back of the crown. You also see that it has a swirl that is on top of the crown. If it is missing any of those parts, it is not the same crown that is upon our sultans of Lord Kemet's headdress. So when you look here, you look at the little, what they want to call olive, peckerwood, Arab, Turk, with this hat, so-called fez sitting upon the top of his head. It does not come down to the nape of his neck. It does not come around the upper and lower portion of his ear. It does not have the apparatus at the back. It does not even have the type of symmetry. The fez has an oval symmetry, where the crown of Lower Egypt again has the type of symmetry. If you look at Queen Nefertiti's headdress, it is basically of that same type of symmetry. So again, you fail in trying to deceive us. You have failed again, moron. I had to come out and attack them because, again, they say that they're Asiatics. And our ancestors drew images of the Asiatics on the wall. And this was the image. It looks like any old little lowly Arab with his own little flea-bitten beard, you understand what I'm saying, in a pointy position. And you see a lot of niggas on the liberation unit that wear that same type of head, same type of style in their beard, trying to be their master. That's all they trying to do, is be their master. They are not original. They don't go back and look upon the walls and see the type of headdress that we wear. So now if our kings of Lower Egypt was wearing the fez, then I guess Ptah is wearing a damn kufi. If that's, I mean, this is the madness in trying to reinterpret our history. If they came in and modified and stole, you can't call the original images by what the thief called it, because you give the thief power when you call it that. Ptah's not wearing a damn kufi. The Arab is wearing the stolen style of headdress, and he called it a kufi. So when you look here and you see the native indigenous Nile Valley African giving prayer to Amun-Ra, is he giving salat? Is he giving salat like the Muslim? No, he's not giving this. He's not giving salat. This type of prayer formation existed long before what they call salat. This is what the thief called it. He came in and looked on the walls and stole and modified and didn't tell you where he got it from. You're the originator of that concept. So here we look at our queen, goddess, Aset. Is she giving salat? Is she giving salat? No, she's not giving salat. This is the original prayer formation that our ancestors had in the Nile Valley before the first Arab crawled up out of a cave. They're nothing but another form of a cracker that got a little African blood in them, so they got a little more melanin at this point in time than the average cracker, but he's from the same rotten tree. He's from the same rotten tree. He's nothing but a peckerwood. Now, we look here again. Is Aset giving salat? No, she's not giving salat. It's the little lowly, flea-bitten ass Arab that went in there and looked upon our walls and stole these prayer formations. And if the fairs did come up out of the crown of Lower Egypt, which I've shown you that the whole style of it has no similarities whatsoever. If they did, they're nothing but thieves. They're nothing but thieves where they modify any which way it go. So here again, we're looking at some little flea-bitten Muslims with them long ass beards. No, they ain't got nothing but lice and fleas in them. Is our native brother of the craft, is he giving salat? No, he's not giving salat. He originated that prayer formation. They're the ones that came in and looked upon the walls and looked at our ancient monuments and stole religion and spirituality that he don't possess right now today with his dehumanizing barbaric ways that he practiced upon our people. Let's look at this. The minarets in front of the mosque, and then look at the two tekens in front of our original native temples of the Nile Valley. Is the Nile Valley temple a mosque? No, it's not a mosque. You understand what I'm saying? It's not a mosque. It existed before the mosque. But see, I'm trying to show you the hypocrisy that the Moor have in trying to say that what the crown of Lower Egypt is a fez. They trying to give you the distortions. They trying to give you the plagiarized versions of it. It's not a fez. It never will be a fez. And as long as I'm alive, anytime you come out with that nonsense, I'm going to attack it, and I'm going to attack it like a savage beast. Because you don't deserve to be out here teaching our people shit because you're backward, Minister Moor. You ain't no damn Moor. You're more like a whore because you're pimping our goddamn people no more than the damn preacher. How the hell you gonna come on and put up 4 videos, damn near 40 minutes of video, and don't give the people one goddamn reference? Don't show them one visual documentation. You just like the goddamn preacher, want to stand up above the people and just spew rhetoric and don't give no goddamn references. Shame on you, Minister Moor, for trying to attack a brother trying to look out for his people. Now you look at the teken and you look at the minaret. Is the teken a minaret? No, it's not a minaret. It was before the minaret. But they're trying to steal our history, rename it, reclassify it, and hide it up under their old wicked ass religious concepts to try to steal away from you your history. Don't you let them do it. You call them out every goddamn chance you get. Your time is up, Moor Science Temple. We own your ass. And a lot of you know you're teaching falsehood, and because you're trying to get a little dollar here and there, you are pimping our goddamn people. You're not a Moor. You're a whore. They came before Columbus is an understatement. Our people's been in these lands many, many thousands of years before Columbus set sail to what we know of today as the Americas. But what we're trying to identify is exactly where these Africans came from and the type of culture that they brought with them when they came here. The Olmecs dominated a region of Mexico today we call Veracruz. When the Mexicans first found a lot of the artifacts and monuments in Mexico, just as this newsletter, just as this document tells us, Yucatan Egipto de America. Yucatan, Egypt in America. This is what they wrote. Why would they say Egypt? Because we know for a fact that the pyramid originated in the Nile. It originated in the Nile and it reached its apex in the Nile. The structures that you see in the Americas are much, much less in technology than those pyramids in the Nile Valley. When you look at these faces, there is no doubt that they are African. There is no doubt whatsoever. Thick lips and broad noses. All of these statues identify the fact that our peoples was in this land. And a lot of people have covered it up because they have an agenda to teach black people that they have done nothing worthy of what we today call historical achievement. They have cut us off from our history to keep us in a slave mentality. But today we are waking up, we are doing the research, and we are identifying our people and our history on all the continents. When you look at this photo, look at the sister, look at her lips, and look at the Olmec lips, and his nose, and look at her nose. It is almost identical. This woman looked like she could have either been the mother of that Olmec or his sister. Here is another photo of a West African brother, young brother. And if you look in the face, if you look in the lips, and you look in the nose, there is no doubt that that brother and that Olmec is from the same race. Here we are looking at the 7 braids that was found on the back of one of the Olmec heads to show the Africanness in his culture. And looking at the brother to the right with the same type of African braid. How did these Africans get here? A lot of people saying that they're navigators. But here you have Khufu's boat, the New Ark, 2500 BCE. This brother Khufu, who built the largest stone structure ever built on the planet Earth. And we know it for a fact because it's still standing. This boat was found on the outside of the pyramid. Do you understand what I'm saying? And this is not the first boat. This is just a replica of many, many boats that have been found in the Nile Valley. And there was even an expedition, which they called the Ra expedition, where they floated a Nile Valley boat built out of reeds, floated it from the west coast of Africa to the Americas to prove that it could be done with Egyptian boats. So for all my brothers who claim to be navigators, show me what you was navigating. Because what the Nile Valley Africans navigated can still be found. Now, when we come to a lot of the paintings on the wall, what you should be focusing on is the fact that the Mayan and the Aztec priests, they wore the jaguar skin. Where did they get that from? If you go back into the Nile Valley priests wore the leopard skin. So when it got here in the Americas, the origin of the knowledge was the same, but they used animals that was indigenous to the area where they came from. They substituted the African animal with animals that was indigenous to the Americas. You even see Bess, the oldest Nile Valley deity, with the leopard skin, because the leopard truly is indigenous to the south of Africa. And this is why you see the Nubians bring the leopard skins up to the Egyptians and trade it with the Egyptians various minerals and so on and so forth. But a leopard is indigenous to the south of Africa. Now, this is a photo to the left that I took when I was at Tehukan, which is the largest pyramid field in the Americas. Immediately I looked and I said, that's Bess. You see the feathers that's coming out the top of his head. You see his tongue sticking out, and many of the photos with Bess, you will see that almond shape in his eye. So you have Bess. Not only do you see the pyramids, you see a lot of the Nile Valley deities carved on the stone of them pyramids. Now, a lot of people say the Mayans got a calendar. They ain't got no damn calendar. That's the Egyptian calendar. And if you look very, very close, you will see that in the middle is Bess. That's Bess with his tongue sticking out, showing you the origin of where this knowledge came from. It is the Egyptian Nubian calendar. Matter of fact, it's actually the Nubian calendar, because the first date, 4236 BCE, that calendar was in existence before the first pharaoh, Narmer, at 3200 BCE, sat on the throne. So when you look in the middle of this so-called Mayan calendar, Olmec calendar, which is nothing but the Nubian Egyptian calendar, it is the first and oldest god of the Nile Valley. It is Bess, sitting right there in the middle of the stone. Now, another painting that identified the origin of the Olmec and how they passed that knowledge down to the Aztec, Incan, and Mayan was the smiting of the enemy, where the king grabs his enemy by the hair and prepares to take off his head. And you see this here to the left with the Mayan king mimicking the Nile Valley, the Egyptian Nubian king right here, Ramesses II. This is a fact that cannot be disputed. So we are identifying that the cultures that you see in the Americas originally come from the Nile Valley. Here is one of the Aztec priests, painted black. And here to the right is an Aztec today, continuing on that culture that was brought, where they paint themselves up to look just like the original culture bringers that brought them that culture. They still paint themselves up to look like the great god of Sara. This is who they're trying to mimic. This is who they're trying to mimic. They are trying to mimic the great god of Sara. And there are many codex, there are many paintings that show the blacks in these lands. Here again, you see a black, he has a beard, but again, you see him with that jaguar skin on his back, mimicking the Nile Valley Africans who wore the leopard skin. On this photo, pay very attention to the serpent at the top of the Mayan's head, where he's mimicking our kings of the Nile Valley who wore the cobra above their brow to strike fear in their enemies. This was the great goddess Wajet, the great goddess that strikes fear in the enemies of the pharaoh. The next photo, pay very attention to the Olmec on the right. Look at his headdress. It is very, very similar, if not exact, to the Nearest crown of the ancient Nile Valley sultans. Look very clear. And here is also where it's so much exact, it is no doubting that to the right, that the Olmec is wearing the crown of Upper and Lower Egypt, even in the Americas. We're not doubting where this knowledge came from. The first Africans in the Americas came from the Nile Valley. Here we're looking at the cap of Ptah, the cap that was also worn by his son, the multi-genius Imhotep. This is blatant evidence that the worship of Ptah, along with many other Nile Valley deities, was in the land. We're even looking at their prayer formations. We're even looking at their prayer formations. This is something that cannot be overlooked. When you look at Tahuti, what I want you to look deeply at is the saturations in his headdress. Look at the saturations in his headdress, and then look at the right to the Olmec representation of Tahuti. You see those same saturations in the top of the ibis, the sacred ibis of what we call Tahuti, Jehuti. Again, we're looking at the symbolic meaning of Tahuti in the Olmec or Mayan culture here. Olmec being the mother culture of all civilizations in the Americas, the mother culture. And we can easily go into the artifacts that were left by the Olmecs and see where Tahuti and Ptah was one of the major deities being worshipped here in the so-called Americas. Again, we're looking at the sacred baboon, sacred to Tahuti. We're looking at the ibis, and again, the sacred baboon of Tahuti, proving without any doubt that his great wisdom as the deity of all sacred wisdom in the Nile Valley had come to the Americas and was one of the front deities in the craft system right here on these shores and in these lands that we call the Americas. Now on the right is an Aztec priest. What you see on the top of his headdress, a falcon. The worship of Heru. All of these deities, you got to understand that all of these deities from the Nile Valley had come to the Americas. And one way or form, shape, or another, that all the Nile Valley deities were being worshipped in the Americas. This is not a coincidence. You find pyramids. You find the same deities on the wall. You find the same animals intertwined in their religiosity. This is no coincidence. Quetzalcoatl, the flying serpent. We also see that originated in the Nile Valley. We also see that the flying serpent originated in the Nile Valley. Looking at this creation photo of Shu holding up heaven, and the goddess Nut represented as heaven. If you look to the top, the left and the right, you will see the two winged serpents, which the Olmec brought to the Americas, in which they call Quetzalcoatl. Now on this vid, look at the dead center of the Incan headdress. And you will see the eye of Ra, the eye of Heru in the middle of his headdress. All these individuals out here saying that the Moors brought the knowledge here, that the Washita brought the knowledge here. The Nile Valley Africans were the first Africans to bring what you call high culture. I'm not talking about no mound. I'm not the mound builder. I'm the pyramid builder. When you was over there playing with mud, we was cutting stone. Quit playing with mud and learn to cut stone. That's where masonry come from. That is why the pyramids are still standing and your mound is melted down. It's nothing but dirt. We're talking about cutting stone. So when you come to the pyramid fields of the world, the one on the left is in China. The one next to that is the pyramid field of Giza. The one next to that, Teotihuacan. And the star system of Orion is the far left, showing that they were all aligned with Orion's belt. But it started in the Nile. We still see the evidence. It is overwhelming. These niggas talking about pyramids up under the water. See, that's where they can go because you can't easily prove that. They always talking about esoteric. You don't know the esoteric meaning of what they talking about. That's just like what the Masons say. We got the secret. That's their way of hiding the fact that they don't know shit because you can't do no research on that. They got to give you the answer. This is their way of lying and misleading the people. Our artifacts are overwhelmingly put down in the Nile for all to see. You ain't got to go searching high and low to find the evidence. Here it is. So when you're looking at Teotihuacan, you got to understand that it's nothing but a replica of the Giza Plateau. But it is a lesser technology, much lesser than what was in the Nile. This is looking at it from the top, showing that it is a step pyramid. That's exactly what it is, a step pyramid.